Attention marketers and entrepreneurs, this is Valuetizing, the place where we talk about scaling brands worth promoting. If you're a mission-driven entrepreneur obsessed with creating, scaling, and exiting multi-million-dollar brands, this is for you. My name is Santiago Phoenix and I am a business growth consultant, online marketer, and investor. I have helped more than 107 and 8-figure founders increase profits, claim their time back, and transform the world. Now it's your turn. Welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome to Valuetizing. My guest today is Dr. Angela Tran, a double board certified physician in obesity medicine and internal medicine, and the CEO and founder of MedFit Medical Weight Loss Clinic. Dr. Tran specializes in helping busy professional women transform their health and achieve lasting weight loss throughout medically supervised interventions. With over 5,000 transformations under her care, Dr. Tran is on a mission to help her patients break free from yo-yo dieting and find a sustainable path to health and confidence. Dr. Tran, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Your content is really great online for everybody who's listening. And one thing that really caught my attention is that on your website, you say, at MedFit, the primary focus is to teach patients and their families about healthy living. And it really caught my attention that you say their families. So that was my first curiosity. Why their families too?
Yeah, so most of us, have loved ones, whether it is, partners, spouses, even parents, children, and there are extensions of who we are. The only problem is that we have so many responsibilities and we're taking care of everybody else, including our businesses, which is also another extension of the family, right? But what happens is that we start to take less care of ourselves. And I don't think people realize how impactful being unhealthy can be in all areas of your life. But the opposite, if you start to concentrate and prioritize health as what I call the fuel or the engine, then you actually will start to see positive changes in the areas of your life. And that's what I teach.
So in your experience, why do women or any entrepreneur, why do they tend to neglect their health? Is it just because they're busy, or do you find there's like some mindset or belief that is really causing that?
Yeah, I've been doing this for over 10 years and I've really actually identified several patterns that are common in those who do tend to struggle with their weight. Number one, just like entrepreneurs, we're always chasing a goal. So we're looking for that external force and we don't look at anywhere else except where we're going, but we forget to stop to figure out what we need to do in the present. And we're living in the future. And there is a major gap, particularly when it comes to health. Number two, particularly in females, but this is definitely common in males too. We grow up wanting to take care of others. Entrepreneurs, we're here to solve problems. We're here to serve. But again, what happens is that we're constantly focused on things at hand. What fire do we need to put out today? What team member needs support? What client who is upset? It is just this ongoing need to help others. And the third piece, which kind of wraps all three, reasons is that, we sometimes try to find value outside of ourselves. And that's how we are operating. So when it comes to health, if we can sort of redirect from the center core and then realize that you are actually more valuable to everybody else. But the equation is often looked in reverse, and that's where the problem lies, especially here in the US.
So what do you mean by that? Like trying to find value outside of yourself?
Yeah, so we want to feel worth. We want to feel enough. For example, if we're chasing a goal, there is a level of achievement that creates satisfaction, but we forget that it's not the goal that creates the satisfaction. It is us internally, almost sort of like kind of you don't necessarily have to be successful to be happy. It's a state of being,
Mhm.
type of thing. So, there's a lot of things that, when it comes to growing up in an environment where, for example, I was the youngest, I was always seeking attention. I have two older brothers that are very, successful. They have checked all these boxes. And so I lived just to get attention and worth by checking all the boxes also. And then we don't realize that these patterns that we grew up with, we take into adulthood, but then it translates into the compromise of the physicalness of what health is. But we're all stubborn, right? We intend to achieve what we want, but willing to compromise everything else. But then one day, I always tell my patients, you're good one day, and you may receive a negative diagnosis the next. We have to be careful. And that's why I'm so passionate what I do to avoid that day, that may happen.
So, so it's yeah, it's about way more than just losing weight.
Correct. Yep. And it's way more than just diet, what you eat and exercise. There is just a beingness of who you are. And I promise you, health is part of multiple categories in your life. That is the driving force. And, that truly will make you that much more of a business owner. Partly sort of why I feel like when I speak, on TV or on podcasts or when I'm visible, on the internet, I am congruent because I practice my own health and my message feels more clear and aligned when I just sort of walk the walk. And I want to encourage entrepreneurs to understand that what they do with their health definitely translates into the work that they bring to the world.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, for example, I have an aunt who she's a very successful business owner,
Hmm.
and she's like successful in all areas of her life. Financially, she has a great marriage, she has a nice family, but when it comes to her health, she has been struggling with extra weight her
Hmm.
entire life. And it's hard to understand like if you can be successful in some areas in your life, why when it comes to your health it's such a struggle.
Yeah, and then you have to stop at one point, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, is it worth it to, have those sleepless nights, those days with migraine headaches, the weight that you carry with the simplicity of, just movement, getting, on an airplane. There is an element of struggle, and I am very compassionate for those who have those challenges, but you know, chasing, the next promotion or the next monthly revenue or missing out on, your child's first steps. When are you going to revisit what truly is important? But here's the key. You make health important, then everything else multiplies in importance. I think there is still a misconception that people feel like they either have health or success, but sometimes it is not possible to have both. And that's where I am here to help convince the audience that you can have it all, but you have to revisit how you look at your life.
Wow. Yeah. So in your own personal experience, when was the moment that you realized like health should be a priority?
Oh, a little bit of my background. I believe it or not, after medical school residency and, the million years it takes for you to even become a doctor,
Yes.
and then you decide, congratulations, you finally made it, you are a doctor, only to find out that you are seeing back-to-back patients. You're answering emails, phone calls, sending prescriptions, answering nurses' questions. You don't even know when the last time you ate, so to speak. And so, whether you're an entrepreneur or an executive or just a working professional, you can already feel your own blood pressure going up because, yeah, I feel that. It's because we're chasing and just constantly accomplishing things. I will admit that I got to the point where I almost quit being a doctor altogether. It was not worth it because I would wake up struggling. Mental health, it was really hard to just even get to work. I literally had headaches, probably had high blood pressure. It finally got to a point where enough was enough. And unfortunately, it was all, the physical signs of having bad health that had to kind of almost slap me in the face to say, okay, I need to drastically change something. Otherwise, I'm on a pathway that is going to be dangerous down the road.
Crazy, right? Because you're like helping people get healthy, but you are sacrificing your own health in the process.
Yes, and I hate to say it, it's not it's especially as healthcare providers, we just have this personality of that nurture. We want to help others, and that just, it fulfills our satisfaction and our needs. But again, we are so stubborn that we are willing to literally sacrifice our own bodies for the sake of making sure a job is done. But again, if you accumulate that, then you realize that you actually were not helpful all along if you're not operating at your best.
Yes. Wow. And is that where when you decided to create, like start your own company, or how was that transition?
Yeah, believe it or not, I was very fortunate. I never actually even been introduced to the world of entrepreneurship or, nobody in my family really owned a business, per se. But I started to do, sort of that soul searching sort of time period. And I was introduced to an entrepreneur who actually helped, quote, burnt out doctors like me sort of reinvent themselves and potentially even transition out of medicine. And, he actually introduced me to someone he knew who did weight loss. And so we connected, and it was this magical love at first sight over the phone. And I said, wow, this is, it was just kind of one of those connections, right? Where you just kind of know this is it. And so that was, the start of it all, where I took about a year to learn how to start a business, create the LLC, all that jazz, while seeing patients,
Wow.
back to back, and took the courageous, ignorant step, right, to start a business. And I never looked back ever since.
Wow. Did you find that your previous experience as a doctor, did it help like with the business side of things, like being, I don't know, organized, or yeah, or was it?
Not at all. I mean, sometimes I've been in business for over 10 years and I miss the ignorance is bliss. Like I was so happy being free, being my own boss, and then truly helping people in the way that I wanted to. And I was successful in the beginning, but then, you really get hit with the reality of like learning how to do sales and marketing and leadership and managing a team. Unfortunately, I realized well early that I needed a business coach. So I wasn't going to try to figure it out on my own. And my business coach, who I consider still my mentor today, really like, doubled my business just within the first 90 days. And, we've been going up ever since. So I enjoy learning. It has become a new game in sport. Not easy and feel beat up every day, but it's definitely a different world, separate from just the medicine part.
That's fantastic. I want to know about this coach. She sounds so good.
Yes, yes. She's Kelly Roach. She is
Oh, I know her. Yeah, she's
um, She is the absolute best because what she taught me is values integrity number one.
Mhm.
You know, we need to just understand what do believe in first. And not just from a professional level, but from a business level. It's the saying goes is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And number two, what attracted me to her is that, she did have a family. She also believed that business and family can coincide. There's no separation. And if you build your business around your lifestyle, it's absolutely possible. And then number three, honestly, the secret to success is that I literally close my eyes, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I was just very coachable because I knew better to just not know what I was doing and was just completely open to her direction. And I think that's why we were so successful, together.
Yeah, I think she's amazing too. And I know one of the things she's like a leader in is life launching. Is that
Yes,
something
yes. And
that you do?
leadership and managing teams. I mean, what I appreciate about her, she teaches the fundamentals. There's no shiny objects. This is not the latest, trend. It doesn't matter whether we are dealing with a pandemic or an economic decline or like a political election or whatnot. She truly, teaches what is the foundation of the business, and it's the dirty, boring work that nobody wants to do. But once you are an expert at it, you will always surpass the other people who are always just chasing the next big thing.
That's so true. And I guess that translates to weight loss too.
Oh, 100%. Same thing, we do have four phases, of our program. Then, the first one is the fundamentals. I mean, you really just need to know how to eat nutritionally properly, and exercise is not just about quote counting calories. It really is it's just understanding how carbs, fats, and proteins, your vitamins and minerals, how it really fuels your body. And then you get to the weight loss, shift phase where you're finally getting results, but it's still work in progress. Then we go into maintenance where congratulations, you have achieved diet and exercise through food and movement. But then now you have to look at your surroundings. And what does that mean? Your work style, your family, your social events,
Right.
your cultural differences, the environmental challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis, believe it or not, is actually more of the underlying root problem
Oh,
per se.
like the
And then
stress.
finally, yes, the stress, time management, how you sleep, your emotional intelligence. There's so much to it. And then that's really where the work begins. And then finally, I enjoy graduating our patients to what we call the habit phase, where you're no longer planning. You don't have to count calories. You don't have to, figure out when you are going to exercise. It's already part of you, much like brushing your teeth. And that really is, where you start to truly understand what that magical, sustainable, healthy lifestyle looks like.
That's when you really become that new person,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. But it's a process, and it doesn't get cured overnight. Some people will take a few months, some people will take a few years. It's a learning process for sure.
Yeah. So what do you say about when people tell you my metabolism is broken? Because I heard that a lot.
Yes, I have the beauty being board certified in both internal medicine and obesity medicine is that I always say we start with the mechanics. So I look at blood work first. It's almost sort of, I call it look under the hood, much like a car. Let's take your car to the body shop. I don't care how much you eat or what you exercise or who you are. I need to look at you chemistry based. And, we look at the traditional things like your cholesterol, blood sugar, hormone levels. We, figure out whether you are female versus male. Are you 30 or 40, or are you 50 or 60? There's so much science, which is nice. And then we put together, truly the map of success when we treat the real underlying cause of weight challenges. And that's where the magic begins, honestly. And then
Yeah.
everything else, believe it or not, becomes easier. But most people will skip that first step.
So, and what is when you say the core or the root problem?
Yeah. So, for example, if you have, a family history of diabetes, we want to make sure that your blood sugars aren't headed in that direction. Both men and women, but I do find this more commonly in women. The thyroid is also a main driver to the metabolism. And if it is off, then you literally can eat 200 calories and still gain weight if you don't fix that
Interesting.
underlying cause. So it is really fascinating, what I can detect with just traditional lab work. Because again, I always tell patients there's no guessing here. We just need to take a look at the blood work and then everything else becomes predictable. But until we get that information, much like, running a business, numbers don't lie.
Yes.
And if you take emotion out of the game, stop judging whether you're heavy or not, or what you're doing right or wrong, look at the important metrics, and it becomes a more approachable process. And you become motivated when you, again, just keep it to the numbers and again, take emotion away from it.
Yes, so interesting. So I think that's something that really makes you stand out because I guess a lot of people just have a lot of preconceived notions about, hey, you need to, I don't know, go vegan or do paleo, but it looks like you are like very evidence based and very customized to the person.
Yep, for sure. And I'll be honest with you. Obviously, obesity medicine is still a newer field, but I do find a lot more doctors are getting extra training in it. But there is one thing about theory. There can be a doctor who is an expert because they learned it through theory. Then you have another doctor who has experience learning through the practice of, teaching patients. That is actual education in itself outside of the book. But then I have the third layer is just like, yeah, I'm a female in my mid to late 40s. I gained 40 pounds with my daughter Haley, who's about to turn 10. I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, and I'm getting ready to enter, whether I'm already there, perimenopause to menopause. I am very crystal clear as to what my patients, experience. And I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to me, because they often say, Dr. Tran, I finally feel seen and heard. And you can't get that from a book. So that's a distinction. Same thing with entrepreneurship. You can learn in theory, but until you actually get pushed into, a downswing where sales aren't coming from anywhere, and learn about marketing, or you need to shift because congratulations, there's a pandemic and you can no longer see people in person. Like, you need to understand that experience. Nobody could have learned how to run a business from a book going through the year 2020.
Yes, experience beats everything.
Yes.
So in the pandemic, what happened with your practice? Tell us about that.
Funny. March 16th of 2020. That was it. I walked into the office. I told my staff, I have no idea what's going on, but something's about to happen. And I'm hearing that there's going to be a shutdown. So literally in a matter of 2 days, we got everybody phone lines, Zoom accounts, and we were almost sort of making things as we go. And then all of a sudden we were a virtual online medical practice, and we've never looked back since. Now, I would never want to relive that, that experience. However, I would say that I am probably one of the few that feel like I was very fortunate that the pandemic happened, that almost forced us to reinvent ourselves. And just for the pureness is that I feel like now that I'm online, I have such a bigger impact, which is what I had envisioned anyways.
Yeah.
So we're efficient, completely online. We closed down the practice, and now we really helped a lot more people with their health than we ever did back in the office.
That is amazing. So what are some of the programs or offers that you have so people can be aware of them?
Very good question. So, like I said, it's in a very stepwise process. We have a great partnership with a laboratory here in the US where we get the full, metabolic panel to really identify the underlying root causes. That's the first absolute step. And then we have a dedicated health coach that not only identifies the nutrition piece, we look at the lifestyle factors. Are you part of a family? Do we need to, create nutrition around other members, not just you? Do you frequently travel for work? Are you an entrepreneur that works, 24/7? We look at all of those factors, and then we create a very easy step-by-step. I call it a fuel plan. It's not so much, again, the grind of logging foods and counting calories. I call it the adaptability framework. And what that means is that we have to help you understand, how do you eat when you're at home versus work versus weekends, social events, vacations, holidays, whether you're in the US or Portugal, so that you can adapt. It's not a one meal plan, one and done sort of scenario. And then finally, as a medical doctor, I really have been able to develop, a higher level skill set in just really understanding your thinking patterns, your brain chemistry, your personality, and behavior that has gotten you into trouble, and sort of almost rewire you to, again, change almost sort of an identity of how you look at yourself. And it's really enjoyable, despite the physical transformation. You can really see when someone makes that internal shift, and then game over. They're off to the races in whatever they do.
So it's a permanent shift. It's definitely not. Yeah, it's much deeper than just have this meal plan and go work out 2 times per week.
Yes. Yes. It doesn't matter whether, again, you're a busy professional. Again, I've worked with business owners, doctors, lawyers, realtors, stay-at-home moms, retired or just out of school. It's all the same concept. Number one, don't make health a separate category. That's probably the biggest statement I can make for the audience is, how we have like family and finances and, you know, religion and just all these categories of our lives. And I always say, well, health is not a separate category. Health is the category that drives the other areas. So, the typical excuse is that, well, Dr. Tran, I don't have time.
Mhm.
Well, you don't have time for your family either. You won't have time for your work if you have a migraine. You can't sleep. You don't have energy. You're not focusing. You have brain fog. Don't get me wrong. You can push through and accomplish those tasks. But do you want to get to your destination in a nice Ferrari, or do you want to get to your destination in a car with smoke coming out of it?
Yeah, it's not worth it. I mean, you can achieve a lot, but if you are not healthy, it's not worth it, right?
Yes, and I think it's just sometimes it's hard because, again, we're stubborn. But the realization is that I am more present with my family. I am more present at work. And time is illusion. Hey, guess what? I don't have to work 8, 10 hours to generate sales. And so if you understand that even in the 30 minutes to 1 hour, you create laser focused content versus 5 hours of procrastination, guess who's going to be more efficient? You have to take time out of the equation and understand that, you know, oh, okay, now I understand the efficiency of health. If I am healthy, I can produce more in the other areas of my life. And it's very, very true.
Are you looking for ways to grow your business faster? I have created a free masterclass that explains the 5 levels of exit every entrepreneur must go through. And by the way, selling your company is only one of them. The 8 biggest reasons why businesses get stuck and fail and how to avoid them. And a proven framework to turn your business into an asset so you can achieve faster profits and limitless impact with less stress and overwhelm in the process. If you would like to turn your small or medium-sized business into a valuable, sellable enterprise, this class is definitely for you. Just go to myplantoscale.com to get access now. Now, back to the show.
Yeah. So I think one thing that would be very helpful is if you could kind of take us through one of your typical days, because you are a busy entrepreneur yourself. What does a typical day look like?
Yes. The nice thing about it is that in this people can potentially appreciate this because I do have a daughter. I tend to get what I need out of the way in the morning before she wakes up. I don't believe that it's requirement for people to do the typical, well, you have to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or otherwise, you're not doing it right type of thing. I disagree. My peak time just tends to be in the morning. So I will do, gratitude journal, meditation as soon as I wake up. The beauty is that since the pandemic, I realized that I just belong in a gym in my own home, so that I don't have to actually travel anywhere to exercise. So I have all the necessary equipment. So it doesn't matter whether I work out at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. I can just go down and do. And so I literally, I almost feel like I accomplish everything that I need before 8 a.m. And then I start my day. And it's just whatever I need to do for myself. And it's kind of nice, especially from a business owner standpoint, when you feel like you're already ahead. Believe it or not, that motivation kicks in where you can tackle some of the harder, difficult tasks up front versus if you slept in, you hit the snooze button a couple times, you're running late, you have to make your child breakfast and, get them ready for school. And then you're always chasing, guess what? You're already chasing the day versus if you definitively decide, nope, I'm going to wake up at this time, take care of what I need first, and then everybody else follows suit. And I've just been able to really create my personal routine.
Yeah. That's I love that because it's very aligned with what you were saying before, which is take care of yourself first and your health first. Then everything will fall into place.
Yes. And it doesn't have to include exercise. Like I said, it could be meditation, breath work, gratitude journal, or it could be like just make yourself coffee and sit in quiet peace, before the day starts. You just need to center yourself to understand, that I take care of me first and then everybody else follows. And that's a shift that I work on with patients because it can be it seems easy, but when you truly decide that I'm important first above everything else, that's when the magic happens.
Interesting. What do you do when you travel?
Oh, this is I am one of those nerds that people probably, feel that I do bring my workout clothes. I'm very intentional. Again, same routine. I have a particular time where I wake up. I will go to the gym in the hotel and then do my exercise well before my family wakes up. And I'm like kind of ready to start the day. Whether we go for breakfast and we're lazy at the pool or we, find an excursion or whatnot. But I'm still definitely one of those, like, I already plan my physical activities ahead of time. But it's also just because I enjoy it, so I don't want people to think that I'm just one of those obsessed health, people that you, see.
But I
It
mean, you
joy.
probably enjoy it. Like it's not
Yes.
nobody's forcing you to do it. But I've been working out for like 10 years, and by this point, I not only enjoy it, but I kind of need it. I know if I'm
Yes.
doing it, I'm going to get cranky, and it really helps with my mood, with everything. So yeah,
Yes, yes. Yeah, when it no longer became an obligation, then I found myself just naturally wanting to do it, rain or shine, tired or energetic. I was just like, that's just who I am. And that's really, something that we work towards when, again, like I said, health is not a separate category. It's who I am, but it makes me that much of a better person to others, because I took care of myself first.
amazing. Well, if someone is listening to this podcast, they have been trying to lose weight for a while. They feel is impossible for them. What would be the first step that you would recommend they take?
Oh, this is a great question. I love that you asked that. This is actually very simple and inexpensive. So I do recommend getting a specialized scale. Again, this is very cheap. You can typically find these on Amazon, maybe $20. But the reason why this is the absolute very first step is because the total weight on a scale does not tell you the most accurate picture. And so you will want to get a scale that provides you three numbers. Number one, obviously your body fat percent.
Mhm.
Number two, it separates into your muscle mass. And then finally, number three is your water weight, which in total then gives you the total weight. And the reason why is I tell patients, don't look at your weight loss as just one number. When you start to understand that your goal is actually what we call body composition repair,
Okay.
where if you reduce your body fat and you preserve your muscle, I don't care what that total weight is. You are healthier when you are what we use the word lean.
Mhm.
But we get so caught up in just one number and we get upset because we gain 2 pounds. And I remind patients, well, you might have actually lost, a couple pounds of body fat, but gained muscle, which makes you feel like you gain weight, but that was actually a positive direction, you know, or perhaps went to a restaurant and you're up in water weight. So, like I said, I'm a very data driven kind of person. And it really, again, weight loss is such a very emotional, a blame judgment kind of game, which is part of why people struggle. But when you look at it in a very mechanical way, then it almost turns things around where you almost feel like you want to figure it out. And when you get the data, then you start to kind of feel like you have more of control of what you're doing.
Right. Like just look at it as an experiment in yourself.
Yep. Yep. And you don't have to get a fancy scale. And I understand there's like different level of accuracies. We're looking at trends. You just need to understand, like, are you moving in the right direction? Because like, again, congratulations, you can lose 20 pounds, but if it's all muscle and water weight, in a blink of an eye, you're going to gain the weight back. That was not the correct way to lose weight versus I would rather you know, have more muscle and less body fat and have, a higher total weight. But have a higher metabolism than, sort of we use the phrase that skinny fat, right? They may look skinny, but if they have more body fat and less muscle, that's actually the wrong goal to achieve.
Yeah. And would you recommend weighting yourself daily?
It's, that's dependent on the personality. So I have individuals who are motivated and are able to control the mind game and are able to weigh themselves once a day. But if you do struggle with, again, the emotional component or sort of just, sort of judging yourself, I do recommend more like once a week. I actually suggest Wednesday is my favorite day first thing in the morning, just because, the weekend we tend to eat, a little bit more. So Monday is a terrible day to weigh. And then play catch up by Tuesday. And then, come Wednesday, you're sort of back to baseline. So technically once a week is good. But for those who are able to sort of keep their mindset in check, then once a day, would work for them.
Amazing. That's I love that. I'm definitely going to try that. And
Yes, yes.
yeah, anybody who's listening to this, where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, so they can go to our website at medfitmedicalweightloss.com. Or, I would appreciate, following me on LinkedIn, Dr. Angela Tran. And just because I am an educator at heart. And when you have an understanding of how your body works, then that's already half of the equation. And you can be more successful when you do understand that versus if you were to just purely follow a fad diet with a set of rules, but you didn't really know how or why you got there, then no wonder you're stuck in this yo-yo dieting cycle. But I love teaching, and that's where I really push out my content.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you. And please follow her. Her content is amazing. And I really love how different your company is from a lot of people there, because you are really leading with education, with value, with evidence-based solutions, and just making people, empowering people to create change on their own. So thank you so much.
Yes, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed the show, hit the share button and send it over to one fellow marketer or entrepreneur. We work hard to make sure they'll thank you for it. Also, to get featured on the show, go to valuetizing.com and apply to become our next guest. Until next time, keep valuetizing.